Now, is that a situation where, say, someone goes in, they get their receipt, their out of pocket is only, say, $10, but their insurance is paying a lot more? Is that how that works?
It could
too?
be, yes.
Yeah? Okay.
And ultimately, when you have insurance, and I know it's a very complicated subject, but when anyone buys insurance, whether it's a local business like us or a massive business, every piece of the spend comes back into what your premium is going to be next year. So even if you as the employee pay $10 for the drug, the company pays the other $240. That $240 is still cost that they're going to get factored back into next year's premium. And most of us, when we see our premiums this year and next year and the next year, they're going up 10, 15, 20, 30%. And we would like to see those come down. We'd like lower premiums and lower drug costs.
Well, and I'm no expert, but mathematically speaking, wouldn't it benefit most companies then to go to just local pharmacies?
If they knew, they truly believe, because the PBMs tell them it is cheaper. And so what will happen now is the information that the company will get, the plan sponsor will get, will be an average. And so they will say, for drug A, your average spend for 30-day supply is $150. Well, the plan assumes they're paying me $150 and they're paying the PBM $150 or a little bit less. What they don't understand, because they can't see that claim level detail, is they're paying me 10 and the other much more than that.
So how's the reception been in Jefferson City for this legislation? Can you tell me?
Yeah, most of the legislators are in favor of it. We have some interest groups that we're still trying to work with that are not in favor of it.
What is their argument? Do you know? I mean,
their argument is typically that anything that costs the PBM more money, reporting or anything, they're just going to pass on to us. Therefore, it will cost more. And that's a very difficult thing, because no one has the clear data except the PBM. And we just want people to have their data. We want people to be able to see it. I think most business owners are smart people, or they have smart people working for them that can look at the differences. And if the PBMs are right, and they truly say that they're charging less than every other pharmacy, then fine, let's see it. Let's see the information. We're in Missouri. It's show me state. Show me the data. Show me what it looks like, and then let the market decide what the market wants to do.
So we had an interview yesterday with Senator Hawley, who's, of course, Missouri Senator.
He's a great PBM reform advocate. He's done great.
Well, I wrote down this quote here. He says, cap costs for drugs. That was part of an answer that he was that was on the news yesterday. How do we do that? Is that something that also you're talking about, like as far as the PBMs go?
Yeah. So most pharmacies would be very happy having a model of reimbursement where it's cost plus paying a little bit to cover overhead. It costs more than just the pill to get it through the whole quality assurance process, get the bottle, get the labor, overhead, all of that. Having something where we know you can have this specific thing absolutely makes sense. With our market, I think it'd be really hard to have hard caps on everything. I do recognize that the pharmaceutical industry has to make money to create new drugs. Whether they have to make as much as they're making is open for debate.
We're talking about billions and billions of dollars.
Right.
I mean, we've heard that argument for a long time. I'm not saying it's not true, but
well, the reality is, here's the ugly reality that no one wants to admit. All of these companies are publicly traded companies. Publicly traded companies have a fiduciary responsibility to their shareholders to make as much money as possible. That's a legal requirement for them. And so, and on their side, I guess, for the CEOs of those massive companies, their job is to make as much money as possible, even if that doesn't align with what may be best for the welfare of the country. And that's,
and it's something that's gotten, it's not just us talking about it. It's something that's in the news a lot. It's something that's gotten the attention of people like Mark Cuban, right?
Right. I've had meetings with him. He's absolutely big on this issue.
Right. And he started his own website. I forgot
Cost
the name.
Plus Drugs.
Cost Plus Drugs. So what's your take on that?
Yeah, so we actually signed up to be a part of Cost Plus Drugs. So if someone gets on cost plus drugs. If that's the plan they want to use, they can come to our pharmacy and they can fill the medication. His plan is
It's cheaper? It's less expensive?
It depends.
Yeah.
It's going to depend on a lot of different factors. Often it can be cheaper than going through a PBM. It may be a little more expensive than using a pharmacy, just cash price. Every drug is going to be a little different. But his model is the right model because it's basically saying, here's what it's going to cost me to purchase the drug, whatever it is. And then we're going to pay a dispensing fee that covers the overhead and the costs of the pharmacy for dispensing it and making sure that it's done accurately and appropriately. That's the model. We talk about capping the price of drugs, or we talk about a reimbursement model that makes sense. That's a model that to a lot of us does make a lot of sense.
Yeah, and he's a guy that can afford his drugs, right?
Right.
So obviously it's something that he...
and I don't know if you've talked to him, but his
I've never talked to him.
crusade, when you talk to him, he's like, look, I didn't realize as a business owner, and I would say a savvy business owner,
Yeah.
right? I mean, he's made billions of dollars. He knows what he's doing. He said, I did not realize, and my people had no idea how we were getting ripped off by the PBMs. And
Again,
he said,
a big company that could have gotten
right,
it
right.
less
Massive,
Yeah.
right? He understands things. He has big companies, and he said it's complicated and it's opaque. And he said if they can do it to me, they can do it to anyone. And he's kind of turned it into a pet project for him.
You've also got, we talked about this on the phone, goodrx.com.
Yeah.
And then you've got the new one that Trump started.
TrumpRx.com. Which is on the same platform as GoodRx.
Right, except
Yep.
one, Good, if I'm not mistaken, is generic, and the Trump one is name brand. Is that?
Ish, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think of those? Or how's that as a business model?
So most independent pharmacies won't accept those, unfortunately.
Either one of them.
Either one of them. And that's got nothing to do politically.
Yeah.
It's economically. So basically the way that model works is, and I'll talk specifically about GoodRx because we've had it much longer than TrumpRx, obviously. But the model is you come in and GoodRx sets a price. We'll call it $10 for your drug. They then come back.
That's your cost or my cost?
Your cost.
Okay.
So your cost for the drug is $10, making
Okay.
up a number.
Right.
What happens then on the back end is GoodRx says to me, well, I'm only going to pay you $2 for that drug. It might have cost me $5, but they're only going to pay me $2. And what they do is they send me a bill for the difference. So you paid 10, I have to give 8 to GoodRx, I keep 2, and it's below what it cost me to buy the drug.
So once again, it's another situation where, I mean, if you can't get what you're paying for a product back,
Right.
it's unsustainable
Right.
in any business.
Right, and they'll say, and again, when I was there on Tuesday working with the industry, their answer was, well, you make money on some, you lose money on some, you might come out okay at the end.
Yeah.
And I think who would do that? Go to a car dealership. Yeah, you're going to make money on some cars, you're going to lose money on some cars, but give those away for half of what it costs you. No one would do that,
So
and no one would
be,
expect them to do that either.
when you're working with people in Jefferson City or anywhere on this issue, and I'm sure you're in touch with other pharmacists.
Sure, all across the country.
How frustrating is this? Is it? I mean, I can tell you're frustrated, and I would be too.
Oh, it's maddening. I mean, after spending literally all day in the Capitol on Tuesday, I was there with another pharmacy owner, and we left, and we said, "This is it's crazy. The system is crazy." Part of our problem, we realized, is we care too much about people, and we go up there with the thought that other people care about people. And that's just not the reality with a lot of, large, Wall Street companies. Not to say there aren't good people in there.
Yeah,
and I'm
I
not
get
saying
it.
the lobbyists individually are bad or anything like that. They're being paid to do a job, and they're effective at their job. In Missouri, it is hard to pass legislation because of the way the Senate is set up. But it's discouraging when you go and people want this. Across the state, across the country. Most legislators want it, but you have a few special interests that are blocking it because they have the ability to hold it up. If you look at every state around us, Kansas earlier this week passed a massive PBM reform bill. We have them in Iowa, Illinois, Arkansas has one of the strongest in the country. All of our neighbors, Oklahoma, they all have great legislation.
What's the holdup? Why are we so far behind?
the Missouri Constitution allows one senator to filibuster and kill everything. No one else in the country does that.
So what would you tell people who are hearing this or watching this and they want to help or they want to get more information? Again, if anybody in the PBM industry wants to come in and give us their side of things, I'm happy to have them. What would you tell them to do? Is there a place to go?
So there are lots of places. I'm a board member for an organization, the Missouri Pharmacist Business Council, MoPBC. So you could Google that, go to our website, there's information. There's another website that the Missouri Pharmacy Association has that's called Stop PBM Abuse. And so that's another great place to go. Really, the best thing that someone can do is reach out to their elected officials and say, hey, can you do something? Now, I'll tell you, in our listening area, our elected officials have been great, at least in the Missouri side. I'm not sure about Illinois, Kentucky, because I don't go over there. But we've had great responses from our senators, from our representatives all across southeast Missouri. And so maybe even it's just a call to say thank you to them. They have been willing to stand up and to vote in favor of reform when it comes up. But they like to hear from their constituents.
That sounds good. And again, I apologize for interrupting. These questions keep popping in my head.
Go for it.
When do you think, and you may have already said this, and forgive me if you did, when do you think a vote on this issue is going to come up? Anytime soon?
Hopefully soon. So our bills
are that kind of thing.
Yeah, so our bills are in committee right now. Right now, we are holding it in the Senate committee intentionally as we do our very best to try to negotiate some compromise. We're compromisers by nature. We want people to agree. We want people to get along, and that's why I spent most of Tuesday at the Capitol trying to get some compromise. Unfortunately, we didn't get very far this Tuesday, and so we're still hopeful that we can get something so that we can vote it out of committee in the next week or so. And then, of course, it goes on the calendar in the Senate. The House is ready to take everything up. The Senate is the harder one, and so they're just watching if the Senate pushes it through. They'll push it through pretty quickly. We don't have the opposition in the House side that we do in the Senate. So we're hopeful that it'll do that. Senator O'Laughlin, who's the Senate pro tem who sets the calendar, is very big advocate of PBM reform. So we're hopeful, that in the month of March we can have a vote on it.
Well, we're running out of time, but I wanted to ask you about something else we discussed, which is this has nothing to do with drugs, but it's still, I think, an issue that's important to a lot of people, and that's childcare.
Absolutely.
How did you get in, and I want you to tell me about your idea and the legislation that you're trying to get promoting on this idea for childcare. How did that get on your radar? Is it as a business owner?
As a business owner, we had employees that needed, a lot of our employees are younger women of childbearing age. They have babies. I am a big pro-family person. I believe very strongly in the family unit and that children are a blessing from God. And we had people who wanted to have children and either did and couldn't find childcare, or were delaying their family because they couldn't find childcare, or they couldn't find affordable childcare.
Yeah, that's the deal, right? It's so expensive today. So tell folks the idea that we discussed, that the third.
Yeah, so what the state has set up is a program where an employer can pay a portion of the childcare expense, the employee can pay a portion of the childcare expense, and the state will pay a portion. That percentage, there are three parts to it. The percentage will depend on the individual's income level. The higher the income, the lower the subsidy, which makes sense. The lower the income, the more the state pays. But it allows employers to get in the game. We started, obviously, our own daycare. It's certainly not a moneymaker. It's a money loser. It's a benefit for our employees. But it allows people who don't want to do that to still provide a benefit and allow the state to do something to help. We've worked a long time with the state and said, it's expensive. We have a workforce problem. Whether we like state involvement or not, the reality is if you want these workers off the sideline, you're going to have to get involved because it's too expensive for them to do it on their own.
So that's already happening then. That's
Correct.
Something that has...
That just started in February.
Oh, okay,
So
cool.
we're in our first month of it. We are one of the guinea pigs in the state because people are aware of our child care center. We have had legislators come down, Governor and Mrs. Keogh have come down to look at it, to try to problem solve together. And so we are one of the first in the state to do it. We're working through a lot of the kinks, but I've often told them I'm happy to be a guinea pig if it's going to help other people.
Do you feel like eventually it won't be a money loser for a company? It might be a break-evener, for lack of a business term?
So the daycares centers that are able to make money are ones that take older kids, because you can have many more older kids per employee. If you have infants, you can only have 4 infants per employee, and so it's very tough in those, and that's where it gets hard. I mean, you'd have to be charging someone $1,400 a month to break even or make a little money in daycare to do that, and people can't afford that.
Yeah, that's so. And I mean, it's something you hear all the time. It was. And my daughter's now 16, but I mean, I remember back it was expensive then, and now it's even more.
It's a big part of your budget, right?
Yeah.
When you have those little kids.
It is. So, is it something that you think, or have you noticed, or do you hear about other businesses getting on board with this same kind of deal?
So there are a handful of us around the state that are piloting it. The state has money allocated for it. A lot of it's the software, getting all of that fixed. And so once that gets fixed, they're going to open it up more broadly. The governor is, asked for the same amount of money for the next fiscal year to try it again, and hopefully we can expand it. Obviously, budget is always a hot topic in Jeff City. This year in particular, budget is getting cut in lots of areas.
Yeah, we've talked about that in this very room.
I'm sure. Yeah, and so it's always a difficult thing. My contention would be on this issue that if you can help with the child care and spend resources there, and again, whether that's daycare for little children or even in public schools, if we can do that, that will pay long-term dividends and increase the revenue that's going to come to the state, because we have more people working who are then going to spend more money, which is going to increase revenue for the state over the long term. It is an investment, though. It's not a quick fix.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like a great program. I hope it works out for you guys. And again, like we said, it's an expensive topic. A lot of people, a lot of families, especially single moms.
Single moms is the toughest.
Yeah, it's cost prohibitive in many ways. I get that. Okay. Well, we are running out of time. I want to thank Dr. Funk for coming in. Again, such a relevant issue these days, and I'm glad to at least help people get the word out about it. I wish you guys luck at John's Pharmacy.
Thank you so much. We appreciate the invitation.
That's going to do it for this edition of Convos with Cunningham. Thanks for listening or watching, and we will see you next time.